So welcome to another episode of Suburban Bourbon, episode 6 in season 3, Joe.
That's right.
It is flying. In fact, we had to go back and forth whether, in fact, this was 6.
We had to count them.
We're become such big time. I mean, no, today we're kind of come east, and we are at Doc Howard's Distillery at 3645, is it Lane Road?
Lane Road Extension.
Lane Road Extension in Perry, Ohio. If you thought Perry was most known for the power plant,
you're wrong.
You are wrong. It's for Doc Howard whiskey.
That's right.
So we're going to meet everyone here at Doc Howard's. We're going to learn about their whiskeys. And Joe, why don't you kick us off?
Yeah. So first of all, Tony, thank you very much for having us today, and tell us a little bit about your journey into the whiskey business.
Okay. Well, Doc Howard's was started 6 years ago by Ken Howard, a.k.a. Doc Howard. Last fall, Doc had a 5-year plan to get out. COVID kind of kicked it another year. So we'll be coming up on our 7th year. He was looking for someone to take over. He had a few different people in mind, and he came back to me and said, I really want to sell it to you. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, well, Doc, the problem I have is I don't have a partner. And so he's like, if I find you a partner, and I looked at Doc and I said, so this is going to be an arranged partnership? He said, yeah. And he's like, someone's going to call you. Talk to him and see if this works. And I'm like, okay. So what ended up becoming my partner in crime in this now is Rob Johnston, and we've been doing it for a year together. I tend to be more on the business side. Rob tends to be more on the distilling side. He learned everything. The one great thing about Doc and Sherry, as we call them, the founders, they're like, we'll work with you. Whatever you need from us, we just want to make sure the name keeps on going. And I think that was one of the things that he liked is with us, we weren't going to change the bottles, the brand. We were going to keep on going with it. And then we'll branch out from there, but keep that Doc name. And when you think of Doc Howard's, it kind of gives that Western, because the name Doc.
Oh, yeah.
So, Doc Holliday kind of thing. So you're already starting with, with the bottles having the medicine bag on it and the glasses. That's what you want in a whiskey. It has a feel to it. So that's what we're playing off of.
And even the bottle just reminds me of, it's just a clear, smooth bottle without any indentations on it. It just reminds me of what you'd see in the Old West when they have the old medicine.
Absolutely.
Exactly. Definitely go for that look. So I know one of the
Getting
things.
Shot up in the saloon.
Right. You will not be shot at Doc Howard's.
It looks like the bottles they'd be banging each other over the head with.
Yeah, they head over to Youngstown for that. Not in Perry. Just joking, Youngstown. Yeah. Not really. But so I know you, before the show, we were talking a little bit about how we've made mistakes with Suburban Bourbon, trying to get everything to work and sound and video and everything else. And one of the things we have found with purveyors like yourself, it's cool to see how you're kind of experimenting as you go along too. Maybe talk to us a little bit about the process and how you've perfected it. Maybe not really perfected it, just continuing to perfect.
Well, so what we, when we came into it, I don't think me and Rob realized, this is a moving train. Most people, they start whiskey distillery, they've got one bottle. We have 9 and we have to figure out how to make them, So then we had, and it's behind you over there, which is our original still, which was Big Betty. And it's literally a steel barrel that has a copper lid on it. I think me, Rob, my wife have all blown that still up because of the seals on it. And you learn like, oh, hey, we only had the heating element on the top, and once the boom blows up, or oh, we overfilled it because we couldn't tell. So those trials, and our first run in January this year, we went and we ran it, and this was the time I walked out the door. There was no alcohol after we fermented and stuff, and we ran it. Like, we didn't even get half a gallon out of it. I'm like, we should be getting about 10 gallons out of this thing. What's going on? And I was just like mad, and Doc was here. He was like, yeah, that's always happened to me in January. It's happened a couple other times. I'm like, so yeah, you're just everything. Now we've taken the stance of anytime anything happens, okay? something spills, break a bottle. I mean, our last big one was we ordered. We have to order by the pallet of bottles, and they came in. They looked a little wonky, so I'm like, well, I'll wait. Rob opens up and unwraps them. The pallet had fallen at some point, and they stacked all the broken bottles in the middle.
Oh my goodness.
Then they were the wrong bottles.
Oh no.
So, it's that kind of stuff. We just look at each other and go, good, we're going to learn something today, and that's the way I think we've kept it going, and just you keep on going with those ideas of, hey, we're going to learn something. You see the distilleries that bought the big equipment and they went right, with gusto, and it's like everything's metered and they touch a few buttons and it works. I said, here, we've learned, and as we grow, we'll be able to we've seen this before. Remember that time? And be able to fix it on our own without, having to worry about a machine.
So you've got obviously a lot of choices here. What's the most popular of all the whiskeys that you?
All of our whiskey. So we can definitely give you. Let's go right for it. Is our maple.
That's not surprising, by the way. Yeah. That seems to be a popular choice.
Yes.
In the whiskey world to begin with.
And I'm just going to do small pours because, gosh, we have 9 bottles, and then I know you guys got to get home at some point. But this is our maple whiskey. It's our most popular. It is a corn, barley, wheat. If you need water to wash.
Oh wow.
Yeah, what's interesting? I thought it's smoother than I thought it was going to be. When you first smell it, I feel like it might be a little hot, a little too
it doesn't have
and it's
it
tasty.
Doesn't really exactly.
Yeah.
It doesn't have
It's
a lot
smooth.
of heat at all.
And I think that's, as we go through all of our whiskeys, hopefully you guys try a few more, we tend to have that we don't have this heavy burn with ours. And, just depends on the taster. More of your hardened bourbon type of people, they're, our stuff isn't for them. But the people who are starting to get into this now, they don't want the burn. They want it, just a nice, good sipping drink.
It reminded me a lot of Boom Booms.
Yes.
Because that Boom Boom Mancini has a bourbon, and it's finished in maple barrels. And,
That's right.
And quite honestly, it's got a lot of the same characteristics of what you have there, which is lower proof, no burn, and very smooth. And I think, to your point, it's a great entry bourbon.
Yeah.
We don't really I think I speak for you, maybe with a few exceptions.
I'm with you all day.
Like the Weller Full Proof, which is 100 something or other we like. But most of the bourbons we like in the 90s.
Yeah.
So we're not somebody who likes
80s and 90s, and I would say
the 80s and 90s is a good sweet spot for us personally.
Yeah.
So, and that's what Doc started with. We have to call it bourbon style because we reuse our bourbon barrels, but our
See, we were trying to figure that out. What makes you have to say that?
Bourbon style. It's the one thing we don't make the cut on is we reuse our barrels.
Interesting.
And we age to reuse that barrel. We use chips. We smoke our own chips, wood chips, to help enhance that barrel to keep it going. Wow. Yeah, and then something that we do, which as a lot of these people have come through, especially being a part of the Passport, the Northeast Ohio.
You're one of the members. There's 13, correct, Tony?
Yep. There's 13 of those. The people that come in, we use a hot box, which sounds, like who would have thought? And like, this was Doc. He was an engineer from Perry Nuclear Power Plant. So what he did is he engineered everything to make whiskey. Now, when you start selling it, we've kind of had to change it up a little bit to make it more work for better production.
Sure.
And then we still have Doc overlooking at us going, is it better than what he did?
Yeah.
A new still, new hot box, doing, different way of smoking the chips, It all comes back to, do we get Doc's approval on it?
What have you found? I mean, have you done things and you get the disapproval?
So the last time we ran our rye, Doc was in, and we ran it on the new still, and it was coming right off the still, and he's like, this definitely isn't what I make. And I'm like, oh no. And then he goes, this is what I wanted to make.
Wow.
Oh, look at Doc throwing you a curveball.
And
That's just the bottle here?
the tribute, yes.
Is this the one?
Yeah, that's the tribute, and then this is the favorite. That Doc. because now we have the plates with the
Which is
column.
one we have here,
This
the
is
tribute.
Yeah, our tribute.
So what's the proof on this? This is
90 proof.
90 proof.
I taste peanut.
I can see that.
Peanut.
I know it probably is not the taste, and I'm not for everyone watching. Not overwhelming. There's a hint of like a nut. So let's just say nut, a nutty taste to me.
Yeah.
It's not. I don't taste like a barrel char. I don't taste.
Yeah.
I don't taste like a citrus. I taste like a nut.
I could see where you have that. I had more of a caramel type flavor.
Or caramel,
but,
yeah,
But I definitely.
yeah.
I mean, I will say this though. Back to what we were saying again. Very good finish.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
this is
Yeah.
in very like smooth flavor. You know, it's an interesting point though.
But I think you fine tuned it. So maybe like a nutty caramel taste to it. Not overwhelming. It's not a nutty caramel whiskey. It just has those hints. What have you experienced when you've tasted it? What do you get out of it?
Oh, I'm all over the map because you taste it so
do it
many.
all the time, yeah.
Yeah. But to me, a little bit of that smoke comes out a little bit more when I'm tasting it, because we brought a bottle home over the weekend, and I had been drinking the maple, and then I switched over to the tribute. I'm like, wow, that's got a lot more flavors to it. The smoke to me came through. There's the caramel with it, a little bit more, just that hint of rye. But just versus the maple that seemed to, with the wheat being a little bit more smoother to it.
What is tribute to? Was there a story?
Doc,
Tribute to bourbon,
Oh.
because we couldn't call it bourbon, so it was our tribute to bourbon.
I love it.
So what's the mash bill on this then? It would be
It's corn, barley, and rye.
okay. 1 month. So you do the hyper.
Yes.
The hyper distillation process, yeah.
With using the hot box.
Yeah. Which is more common now than people realize.
And and I know we'll get to barrel, but there's cost to that. There's cost, So
We're not purists, just so
Right,
you know.
yeah.
That we're not.
Yes. There is by no means no judging here.
So then you go, okay, what if we did put this? How much is that? The same mash blend, and we let it go for 3 years in a barrel. What's it going to be like? And we're looking at probably once we get past the rush of the year, is the fall, winter. We'll probably in January we'll start barreling some, do some 6-gallon barrels, and start letting them age and see what we think of them as they go out of our bottles, that we have now, and see what happens.
Because it's interesting, because I know we talk to other distilleries, and sometimes they'll sub it out to like MGP or something like that, and then they'll build up their operations. I think
Get the recipe right.
exactly, but I think it's interesting organically doing it and seeing
where it goes,
what
yeah.
it produces.
And being small batch, hey, this bottle of tribute you bought today, 6 months down the line, it might be a little bit different because something, the weather, whatever, the char of the chips or whatever. We try to keep the taste the same, not necessarily the colors within the bottle, because depending on how the chips were or how long it's sat, will change our flavor to it. So we tend to try to do it off of the flavor versus the color of the bottles. Now, you were talking a lower proof. We have our Tribute 40, which takes the ABV down to 80.
Nice.
Okay, and we found that people thought this had more flavor to it than the Tribute. And then you have the people who buy the Tribute so that they can put the ice in it and take it down to this.
Mm-hmm.
So, same mash build, same everything. Just a little more.
Yeah, so I taste the same. It's just more of it.
Yep.
You're right. It's still that nutty caramel taste I'm tasting. It's funny. We said this.
I think I prefer the original. I like.
I
the
do
tribute.
too.
I like a little bit more heat to it than the 80. But I get why you would sell this, because
Yeah.
like you said, for especially for people that are new to bourbon, this is way more palatable.
That would taste
Exactly.
good in a coffee,
Oh God, yeah.
wouldn't it? Like a nice mixed
Now,
coffee.
see, now you're going into the next bottle.
What a great segue, Tony.
Yeah. So is the hot poker. okay, which is the same tribute mash, but we've put it in with some cinnamon, crushed cinnamon and cinnamon sticks.
Nice.
And how do you figure out how much cinnamon? Because I will say one thing about cinnamon is too much is too much. I mean, you could really go overboard. So how do you figure out the balance?
So constant tasting. Okay, we probably get rid of a quarter of a gallon just through all of our tastings to get it,
Okay.
You're right, it can go too long, and it can go not long enough. So you just keep on going, and then we call it the tasters. Hey, if you're in there, check, I've got, taste and see where the hot poker's at today.
Go get that tough job. Tony.
I know, exactly.
People apply.
Exactly. Are there two openings?
If you're here, we'll gladly do it. My wife,
you for a friend.
Rob, my wife, Tracy. Yeah, now, so this.
And this is also 80.
Yeah, this is also 80.
Okay. So we were just at, I think we told you we were in Minglewood Distillery,
Yep.
and they have a cinnamon. And what yours has in common, it's not like, what's the one? The common one.
Fireball.
It's not Fireball.
No,
you
no,
can't
it's
even
not-
taste it.
yeah,
it's
we
so
don't-
hot.
no.
This is good, and this actually tastes like, it's like a Cinnabon.
Exactly. It's like a cinnamon roll.
In a good way. A cinnamon,
It
yeah.
smells like a cinnamon roll.
Not an overly sweet way, it just tastes that way.
This would be
Putting a little bit of
fantastic in a
coffee,
coffee.
So this one won a bronze medal at the East Coast Craft Distillers Awards this year. We were really proud of that. We got 2 other silvers. We'll get to those bottles. But yeah, this pulling off a bronze medal in flavored whiskey.
That, I will say, and it's funny here, it smelled just like a cinnamon roll.
For people
which is
gearing up for
amazing.
Halloween, you need to stop by Doc Howard's, and we're going to get to where we can buy this. But you need to buy this.
Exactly.
I mean, in fact, I'm going to buy
And
it.
I think that on its own, and this is the proof of any good whiskey. On its own, this is how we like to try it first, is straight.
Yep.
And on its own, it's amazing.
Awesome,
But
yeah.
to be able to mix it, and are there other cocktails? I mean, we initially said coffee or cider or something.
Yes.
Are there
so-
other applications you've seen?
Yes. So we do, what is it? Fiery Redhead, okay, which we mix this with a little cherry juice, a little bit of 7-Up, okay, with that in there. Yeah.
It's funny, Allie Gumney.
I was going to say my daughter's got red hair, so
Allie Gumney, if you're watching.
that one's for you. Fiery redhead.
And all of those, we have bunches of recipes out on our website because, yeah. Yeah.
And you came up with that?
I don't know. It came with the company. I'll say it like that. It was on there. We re-brought it back out, and saying how great it was, and it is, and that we love that one with it.
So Tony. So Tony, as we continue with these, when people want to, and I think you have it posted on the website when people can stop by for tastings. I assume, is there a time when you have to, do you have to arrange ahead of time to say you're coming, or you can just stop in? And,
Friday and Saturday, noon to 5, stop on in.
okay.
Anybody, if you got a group and you want to come in, during the week, like we're doing tonight, or more than, hey, give us a call. We'll see who can come up. The hard part, being a small distillery, once again, is I can't have someone sitting here Monday through Friday, all day.
Oh, of course.
So
Very
we're
common.
yeah.
Very
So we're open to having people come in the evenings and stuff like that. Usually we're around.
Yeah.
It's just we just don't think anyone else wants to come talk to us on a Wednesday night. So we just keep the door shut.
And if we've been asking this of various distilleries, if folks are interested, would you sell a barrel? Certainly for the right cost.
now we're just trying to keep up with production. So
Gotcha.
we would probably say
Maybe
we'd love
down the
to.
road.
Yeah, down the road, something we've talked about. We've had a couple of people. We're just getting to the point where we actually have inventory to sell.
That's a good problem, right? I mean,
And where can you get Doc Howard's?
So right now we are primarily in Lake County and all the liquor stores in Lake County. We are starting to branch out, once again, now that we have inventory, out around the burbs on the south and west side of Cleveland.
we'll have to tell Minotti's about this.
I was going to say,
yeah.
because
Good
we're
stuff.
friends with Minotti's, and They definitely would. I'm sure would love to
Good
know
stuff.
about it.
Okay, we're going to go to our rye,
Okay.
okay, which we call our favorite. Okay.
And it's named that why.
Why? Because this was Doc's favorite, and originally when he applied for it, he had it as Doc's favorite, and they said that sounds too much like a physician referring it, so they said you can't call it that. So it's like, can we just call it
When
favorite?
they say they,
the federal
Interesting.
government, yeah, that's
interesting.
who approves our labels. That we couldn't do that, so then it just became known as favorite. Now, on our rye is 100% rye. Usually, if you open up and look at the back, usually they're 80 to 90%, with 10% being barley or something like that. And we found out why, as you said, as you learn to make these recipes, why that is, because everybody will tell you filtering rye is a pain. It has an oil to it. And if you do it wrong, you just got a mess. And it's just, yeah. So, however, we've accepted that challenge. And we continue to make it with, half of it is malted rye, the other half is regular rye, summer rye.
okay.
So give that a try. And then just slightly barrel aged. As you can see, it's a little more yellow than our others. We didn't want to put a
And
whole
you
lot
got
of
90
smoke.
proof here.
Yep.
Again, another,
I like it. I'm trying to get the taste or the flavor.
but it's a very, it's a very smooth tasting rye. It's not a, I mean,
What am I
90
tasting?
proof though, 90 proof is pretty mild,
Yeah.
but it's not, there are, again, I'm not getting a heat necessarily in or on the way.
What do you taste, Tony, when you drink it? When you drink it? What hint do you?
A little like medicine-y to it. And
Maybe that's
that's what I'm,
what it is.
and then the pepperiness of it, yeah.
Definitely peppery.
I mean, it is, but it's not hot.
No, it's not overwhelming. And again, for everyone watching, it's not a bad taste. I'm just trying to figure out what it is. But definitely sippable. Like you could have it on the rocks.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, and that's the
know.
that's the great part about everything we've tried so far.
Yeah.
I mean, whether you want to drink it straight or on the rocks, it's great. And then I'm sure you can marry that up, with a myriad of drinks.
Trying to think of which one we did with the favorite lately. I'm missing, sorry.
Well, you got thrown by Joe using married and myriad.
Myriad.
For everyone at home, he gets $12 for that.
Exactly.
every time he,
Just because
the big words.
I've got bigger vocabulary than Lorraine over here. But yeah, that's
that's good stuff.
that's definitely and what I mean when I think about we like rye. Mm-hmm. So I mean I think that it's very similar to me when you talk about like how you're drinking it. Reminds me of like how Angel's Envy is a very smooth rye. I don't think it tastes just like Angel's Envy,
no.
but I think that it's got a similar
Smooth.
experience.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I checked the back of the bottle, it's not 100%.
That's right.
That is. All right, we're gonna go, and I'll probably pour this and it'll probably come out from behind as soon as he hears I'm pouring corn. This is Rob's favorite, is the corn.
Okay.
It was his favorite. This is what brought him to Doc's. And it also is my biggest headache because when you like something so much, when there's the slightest bit of difference, you notice it.
Yeah.
And with the corn, it's 100% corn. You screw it up coming off the still, I'm done. He's going to throw it away. So it's got to be,
You could smell.
oh yeah.
You could smell that corn.
So some of this we'll say is we go two ways with it. Either it's a lighter moonshine, okay, because it is 100% corn, or a flavorful vodka, because Tito's is 100% corn. They just run up the ABV, water it back down. This is at 90. Tito's is at 80. So I like this actually in Bloody Marys.
I think it's a smooth drink.
Yeah.
Personally, I don't think it tastes like vodka at all.
No, not
It's
at
a
all.
nutty taste to it.
Yeah.
Am I wrong?
No, I'm with you.
Yeah.
It doesn't.
And this one won a silver for us this year.
That's
It's
good
got way
stuff.
more flavor than
Yeah.
any vodka.
Yeah.
And when we're running this on the still, we're running it at a low ABV, even off the still, low and slow. You know, we want to keep that flavor in there as much as we can.
Well, you did. I mean, for sure. That's actually a really good corn whiskey. That's not usually my go-to. So this is an interesting one.
I thought it was going to be like that earthy, like Scotch kind of taste.
Yeah,
And it not at all.
No.
Not at all.
What's in there?
We have some of that over
There
here.
is a Scotch style in there.
As you see, like you're the best setup man.
I
for
know
me.
exactly. It's
Can you come do these tasting with me?
Although you saw it. You saw
It's a good hint.
the one in the on deck circle.
So this bottle is a labor of love, and I say it like that.
Are you a Scotch person?
I wasn't till I start here with this one, and then now I go out and look for scotches. As I do, you know, I think part of being a distiller is you have to go and taste the other stuff. You got to know what other people are doing. The funny thing is now is when I taste something, I think more, how did they do that? You know, how did they get that flavor in there? No, you know,
As
Yeah.
opposed to like or not like.
yeah, liking or looking for all the different, you know, when you get those flavors, like, okay, how did they get that in there? You know, versus just drinking it and going, oh, okay, you know, because like I got a bottle of corn whiskey from a, what is it called? Moonshine Mine Distillery. They're just outside of Altoona, PA. And I'm like, I taste it, and I'm like, I know exactly how he made this. He had the ABV up high, brought it back down, you know, when he bottled it, but he still left it at like a 120. And I was like, wow, this is hot and heat, but he had run it up because there wasn't like a lot of taste to that. It's like, okay, I mean, and I get it that, hey, people who like moonshine, this is your bottle. You know?
So
That's interesting.
So as an independent distiller, are there any mainstream bourbons or whiskeys that you say, I like that, and I'm going to try to make us like that, or do you want to be unique?
So yeah, there's ones I like, and it's like, you know, if they're aged in a barrel for 3 years, can I do that?
Right.
You know, versus
And that's part of what your journey is going to be, right? To figure out.
That's right.
or like, okay, oh, they use this grain, you know, and I know, you know, Lake Erie Distillery used a barrel recently that gave off for their winter bottle. Shout out, Fred. That it gives this gingerbread taste to the bottle, and that bottle didn't last 2 weeks in my house during Christmas. Okay, it was gone, and I'm like, I saw Fred. I'm like, when are you bringing that one back? Hey, I want to find out, get those barrels and do something with it.
Yeah.
You know, now you're there at this guy. We've recently invested in looking at smoking more of our own grains. And with that, I'm like, what if we did this? You know, what if so some of it is inspired by other things. And Rob will tell me I'm nuts. Rob will say that's crazy. But I'd really like to, okay, let's take the barley and smoke it with pecan wood to give it that smoky taste. Then maybe some maple wood, mix the two. Figure out how to add a little bacon in there and do like a pecan bacon maple.
All right, so I'm going to tell you right now.
Nice.
So our wives, if there's one, and we won't name, I don't even know the name because I don't.
I know the name.
but it's a pecan pie, essentially whiskey.
Pecan brown sugar.
Yeah, pecan brown sugar, but it essentially tastes like a pecan pie, and it
my
really,
gosh.
it's like our wives are pretty anti-bourbon. I mean, for the most part, but that. And that's not necessarily a bourbon, but it's a whiskey that they both loved. And
My sister-in-law put it in a milkshake,
Oh, yeah.
right? And I'm thinking, and you taste it like, oh my God. You know,
so
what's
I
going on
think
here?
that what you are pursuing, it's got a market.
yeah.
And the other part, and you brought it up, part of it is you have something like you brought up, it tastes like gingerbread, and you had it at Christmas time, and it went like that. Yep. And that's the magic, right? That's when and I think that when we were talking about the hot poker, that's dead on. If you can produce that every single time you produce it, someone's going to get a whiskey that's like, this is cinnamon, but it's like the perfect amount, and it can go with so many different things or on its own.
I would say this reminds me of the Japanese whiskeys, the Japanese scotches. So, for anyone watching, I would say that this is
Nikkei.
Yes, it tastes like Scotch, 100%, but it's not as earthy, and it doesn't have the residual sort of taste. It's clean.
Yeah.
Real Scotch, if you want to call it real Scotch, just sticks with you. I don't care for it. I mean, you just can't get the taste in your mouth. This is a smooth and very.
And that's a good correlation
clean
because
taste.
I can see that. I mean, I definitely Nikkei. I'm trying to think of the other one that we had that was
Tech. Is it Tekka? Nika, and something else. Anyway, I know what you're.
Nika, and then there's. But either way, the Japanese whiskeys definitely have that same type of. Well, there's a lot of variations of them.
But you get it and you're done.
Exactly.
It goes away. Yeah,
A lot of variations, but a lot of
similar.
them are distilled very similar to Scotch. So
That's good stuff, though. That's very
That is.
good.
And the funny thing is, people who are, done a lot more of the tours, the passport, and they come here, this seems to be the bottle they latch onto.
Why is that?
I think it's the stronger flavors in it versus our other bottles, are a little more mellow flavored. And a Scotch is not something they're getting at any of the other distilleries.
That's true.
You are right.
And the flavor profile is stronger than what we've had. But from a Scotch perspective, it's mild.
Yep.
And a lot of people don't like. That's part of what I think. If you like a lot of Scotches, like you said, earthy and stronger than that.
So I had a couple of friends who came over from the UK, Wales, and I thought I wanted them to try this. They're like, "Yeah, this is what we can get over there." And I was like, "Oh, okay." That's not what they wanted. They went with the hot poker, the maple. Those were the ones that they were going after because everything there is very burn, strong.
Earthy, peaty.
earthy, yeah. So that I was kind of funny that I thought.
But this isn't overwhelming, though, Tony.
It's,
I mean, it's
a very
smooth.
exactly. It's a very mild Scotch. I mean, which is I enjoyed that.
So this the Kilted is our last bottle. We got to get our hands around and be able to reproduce it timely and continually, and that was around getting the grains. Because if you go to try to buy, some of the hickory smoked barley, I mean, it's out the roof, and I'm having to have it shipped in from North Dakota. Really? So yeah, it's not easy. It's not something you can find. Maybe the hickory, but then you have beechwood and peat and all that kind of to put this together. So we were looking at it. It's like the cost alone to do it. Making it's a lot better than making the favorite, but it's getting those smoke grains. And now that we think we've got the process down, I think we'll, look at doing more with it.
It's interesting. I mean, talk about a whole industry. So those farmers, I mean, you think about now the emergence of all these distilleries, not just here in Ohio, but everywhere. What a whole new market for them.
Yeah.
With custom orders and flavorful
Especially,
drinks.
I didn't even know that existed.
Me
I
neither.
mean, seriously, like when you said like where you have to get it from, and it's like specialized.
Yeah,
it's a specialized product that if you don't get that grain, you can't make that whiskey.
Right. That's probably why we're not seeing, American scotches at other distilleries, because it's cost prohibitive or in figuring out how to do it. Hopefully we got it, and then, like I said, we can do more different smokes. Like I said, I'm excited about it, and we'll see where we go with that, especially since we'll have the Kilted under our belt.
And that would be interesting too, because I mean that's a really good whiskey. It would be interesting with a little more smoke to it, what that could do to it. I mean, and we've seen with different, the smoked old fashions as an example. I mean, even if you just infuse it afterwards.
All right, so now we're down to our final two, which is our rums. I'm going to give you a taste of the golden rum. This really is, I know before we had you guys test some mash that had been fermented off and is about ready to be run of this.
Which was fantastic. I have to admit, that was a thank you for that added bonus.
Yeah, no, glad to do it. I wish, we just didn't have the still running tonight. Otherwise, I'd have you taking some stuff off the still. So this is our golden, really just a little bit of age to it to go. But this is one we would say, hey, buy this bottle. This is the one if you're going to make rum cakes or rum balls or
sweet.
Yep.
It is. And a lot of time,
go ahead, Joe.
no, I was going to say a lot of time rum balls or when people bring those, it's too strong, and it's like I would think this would go very well with that.
Yeah.
Tony, is this the one that we tasted?
Yeah.
The one back there?
Yep. So, and actually we have the last one, which is our spiced rum, and you guys were saying, talking about Christmas. This one, Tracy has come up with, or says, this is Christmas in your mouth.
All right.
Okay. This is the same. All we do is, once we get it to the golden, we then add some spices to it. This won a silver at that Craft Distillers Awards this year, which we were super surprised. Everybody makes a spiced rum, and we pulled down a silver. Little old us.
That's outstanding.
We were super excited about that, and we are selling lots of this now.
Isn't it great though? I mean, you put all the time into it, and it's a lot of pressure. You have to get the inventory out, and then to win something.
Yeah.
People say yes, you did well.
You did it right.
Yeah.
Validation of any sort is great, but to get a silver when you're talking about something that,
A lot of people do. Yeah.
yeah.
Oh yeah. I tell you what, between this and the hot poker, very similar in taste. I mean, this is clearly a rum, but that
Yeah, but that does. It's an interesting.
I like that.
I love the Christmas. It's
she's right.
Yeah,
she's right.
That's a great spice flavored rum.
Thank you. That apple cider warmed on a cool fall
Absolutely.
night. I just say, see you, hon. I'm good.
First of all, Tony, thank you so much. This has been fantastic. And, I think if you were going to tell people who are watching and listening, why would they want to come and visit? I mean, is there something you could tell them on a Friday, I think Friday and Saturday, to make the stop? It sounds like you can just walk in and you might be here. And
yeah, if it's Friday, most likely I'm here Friday. Rob is my partner's here on Saturdays. Usually it's going to be a family member behind the bar here and we love talking about our whiskeys. I think a lot of times, you go in some of these places and they have a board with the names of them on there and you're supposed to choose. That's not here. We want you to come. We want you to come sit at the bar, come talk to us. Because, for me and Rob, this is our side gig. So usually it's, on Fridays, the still's running. And if there's something coming off the still and, like, hey, can we try that? Sure, And we've had people, why aren't you just bottling it like this? And I'm like, well, we like aging it up a little bit. But I think it's that. I think, coming in and sitting down and talking, hearing the stories, we love to hear why you're here and what you guys, what everybody thinks. It's given us the ideas to what are we doing next.
Cool thing I get from you is you could be somebody just learning about bourbon and whiskey, and maybe just sort of casually learning and kind of acclimating your taste to it. You could walk in and they won't feel intimidated to walk in.
So I had two guys walk in who were doing the passport tour, and I poured them two tastings, and they did them like shots. I'm like, no, stop. And I'm like, here's what you do. I said, you want to enjoy this? I said, take a little sip, get your mouth wet, get it used to it, then take the next. I said, and you'll really notice the difference. And they're like, oh wow, this is it.
Had we known.
If they have to go back through the passport and do it the right way.
Yeah, luckily they didn't have a lot of them stamped yet. So hopefully, but you're right. We want people to learn and enjoy. Okay.
And I think the other part too is, to your point, you could be entry level, just learning about whiskey, bourbon, or you could be an experienced, bourbon connoisseur. And there's a little something for everybody.
Like I say, we have 9 bottles. Hopefully you find something you might like. Yeah, I wouldn't say love, just like a little.
Right. Thank you, Tony. Again, at Doc Howard's Distillery at 3645 Lane Road Extension here in beautiful Perry.
Yeah.
Stop by, meet Tony and his family, and enjoy some of their.
Exactly.
Gosh, we had 6 or 7 or 8 and 9.
We had 9.
It's gonna be a long drive back to Homestead Falls.
Exactly. But what a wonderful, honestly, great selection of spirits.
Thank you.
Definitely check it out. I don't even know what my favorite is, but I can say when you go maple, hot poker, and spice rum,
absolutely,
you can't go wrong. You can't go wrong. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you.